Hello, my name is Ilona, and in this video I want to talk about guilt, shame, and penance. So the feeling that you need to maybe even hurt yourself or put yourself in a certain situation because you feel you've done something wrong. And I believe that Dolores Cannon is the one that came up with this term, that the combination of guilt, shame, and penance, although I'm not sure about that. I've seen it in other articles as well, and it usually has to do with like religion or maybe even religious past life that we've created this, although not necessarily, but there's so much in common, with the feeling that you need to feel guilty, that you're awful, you're like a sinner, and that already puts you in this shame mode, because the difference between guilt is usually about a certain behavior, and shame is usually about feeling that there's something wrong with you, like you're awful, you're bad, you're evil. And of course we know in certain religions that is being emphasized. And of course then you have to show penance, you have to do certain things to make up for that. And we also know that certain guilt is used as a manipulation technique also in families, or even with colleagues, or in relationships. We've been through, of course, what we've been through the past 5 years with certain things we were supposed to go along with, certain things and certain codes. And if you didn't do that, then of course you were an awful person and you were guilty and other people could get sick because of you. That all has to do with that guilt, shame mechanism, trying to force you in a way, trying to make you feel awful. It's a very low frequency. And I have experience with that in my own personal process, that I've noticed I carry a lot of that with me, especially that shame part, like there's something wrong with me. It had to do with past lifetimes, but also I've mentioned this before, I believe in a life, that things were also imprinted in me. Apparently they're purposely done. Of course, I've agreed to that on a very unconscious level. I thought that it was part of my past lifetimes as well. Imprints means that there usually are lives that they're not really lived by you, but it feels like they are part of you. And let's just say a group of people, a group of entities that had concern with this, try to make me feel like in a lower state by programming me with like an extra guilt, shame, and penance programming. But that's not what this video is about. But I just want to show you as an as an example of how deep that can go. But especially if you had religious lifetimes or just general in groups, because shame has to do with groups as well. You're being shamed because you don't fit in. And I'm sure we've all, especially the people that watch these videos, will know what I'm talking about, that you're not part of the family, or you are not part of the group, or you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It all has to do with guilt, shame, and the penance. You have to make up for it in one way or another. And penance can go very deep. It could even be that you're harming yourself along the way because of things you feel. And this is a very extreme way. It could be that you're trying to make up with people. So you're being very subservient, I think it's called. That you're very trying to please other people, and you go out of your way to please certain people, and you do things normally you wouldn't do. And if maybe you look back at it, you're like, why am I doing this? Why have I done this? Because I've really lowered myself. But that has to do with that penance feeling. I think that's the correct term, that you feel like you need to pay something back, like you've done something and you need to pay for it. That's goes very deep as well, and it's all connected. So in this video I just wanted to do a sort of experiment. And in my Dutch video, of course, I shuffled the cards, or I got the cards in front of me, and I looked at all the guilt, the shame, and the penance. What can you do to get out of these feelings or emotions or that programming? What is important to, the next step to get out of that? Because it's really important that we realize we are spiritual beings in a human experience, and it's really just keeping our energy very low. Of course, if you're guilty of something, if you've done something, you can change that. Yeah, there's certain behavior you want to change that, but don't remain in that feeling guilty. You don't have to feel guilty if you've already changed your ways, or maybe you want to apologize about something. But if the guilt is used as a manipulation technique, then it's time to step away from that, and of course not being manipulated anymore on that level. So there are many layers to guilt. But the cards that I've gotten, this is very interesting. So these were the 3 cards for guilt. Well, the first card is the Fool, and I'm taking cards from the Light Seers Tarot from Chris Ann. So this is the Fool card. The second card is the Queen of Cups. And the third card is the Knight of Pentacles. And this is very interesting to me. So the first card is the Fool. And it's really, if you're dealing with guilt feelings and feeling that you're, guilty of something, and it can go very deep, that you take that inner child that feels that way, or the part of you that feels the way, by the hand and just say to that part, you are all right. The Fool is open. It has this wondering, this childish, not childish, childlike, that's the word I'm looking for, the childlike trust that everything is going to be all right, and trusting the universe, trusting the world. And it's very important with feelings of guilt that you trust again. So you can take that part by the hand and then connect with it. Very important, the Queen of Cups. Connect with the feeling of guilt, especially if it's used as a manipulation technique. Feel through it, see where you feel it, in your body, where that guilt feels, maybe in your stomach or your solar plexus, whatever it is. Really breathe through it, connect with it. Don't analyze it, but just let it be. Embrace it. Don't be afraid of it, because then you can let go of it. You can feel through it, because the Queen of Cups is all about connection. And with the Knight of Pentacles, then you can make decisions. Like I said, if there's something you want to change, you can change certain behavior in yourself. Not feel guilty anymore. Or maybe you want to apologize. If guilt is used as a manipulation technique, if you let go of those feelings of guilt, you can make a decision that is good for you. Then you don't, you're not going to look at what other people want, but what is good for me, what is important for me. And so you can get out of that lower vibration. So these are very beautiful cards, I have to say. So this is the guilt. So this is how you can get out of that feeling of guilt. Now, the second thing I want to take a look at is, of course, shame. And shame is like I've mentioned, it's a very deep feeling I carried with me, like there was something wrong with me. It's like I said, it was emphasized in when I incarnated in this lifetime as well. Whether that was rightfully so or not doesn't matter, because somewhere I went along with it, and now I of course have to deal with that as well, and that's okay. I'm taking my steps in that. But shame really is about something wrong with you. So that can feel awful. It can go so deep. So the cards I've got, and this is an interesting one, is the Judgment card. Then we have the 8 of Wands and the Magician. This is really important when you're feeling ashamed. It has to do, of course, with judging yourself, judgment about yourself. This is about letting go of that judgment and look at yourself in a new way. You are a spiritual being in a human experience, and it's so important to see yourself truly for who you are, so you can let go of all these other feelings and emotions that just don't fit you anymore, just not suitable. There's nothing for you to be ashamed about, and it's really something you need to experience deep inside. That's what judgment is. So you're making a new judgment in a way about yourself, letting go of the judgments, but in that way also making a new judgment who you truly are. Because judgment in itself, there's nothing wrong with it. It's neutral. But something that, you see yourself as this beautiful spiritual being, pure being. Very important. Then, of course, with the 8 of Wands, there's, of course, a lot of, it can speed up things if you manage to, truly open yourself up also for this nagging feeling of shame. That's what it feels like to me. Goes very deep in my case, and then it's very important to show self-love with the pink on this card, and you can really take steps then, especially with the Eight of Wands. It has to do with speed, but you can really take steps to feel through it by really loving yourself, making a new judgment about yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. You are perfect the way you are right now in this moment. So you have nothing to be ashamed of. And then you can step into the Magician. If you can, strip away that feeling of feeling ashamed, not feeling good enough, you can really step into that powerful Magician energy, manifesting what you truly want. Using that energy that you've now used to keep yourself on a very low vibrating energy frequency, you can now uplift yourself and really start to move ahead. And that's what the Magician is all about. There's also green here. It has to do with the heart chakra. Shame has also with the, I think, the second chakra as well. The second center, the sacral center has to do, but also with the heart center. It's very important that you let go of that, look at yourself differently, because then you can move with that feeling of self-love into that powerful Magician. And the last thing I wanted to take a look at is penance. Like I said, there are many ways you can experience that. You can really go out of your way to make it comfortable for people because you feel guilty about something or ashamed of something, and you try to make up for it. Or you can even, turn against yourself, sabotaging yourself. Even addictions are in a way this penance, like you're turning it against you. So in a way you are hurting yourself, you're pushing yourself away. That's also part of shame, that you're not accepting yourself, who you are and how, what you are and the way you are. There is something wrong with you. And guilt is, of course, that you're showing behavior that you're not happy with. So penance is really, it can be so many layers and it can go very deep, and it really can, you can self-sabotage you because of that you don't feel you deserve things, so you sabotage a certain job opportunity or a certain relationship. It's all connected. So I got the cards for that, and very interesting, the first card I got was the World card. The second was the Fool, and the third card is the Tower. So these are all three major arcana cards. So this is a very important thing for a lot of people, maybe on a very deep level. Some people are not even aware of it, that they feel like they need to make up for things, or they're falling short on certain things, so they really need to push themselves now. And really the most important card for me in this is the Tower card. So I'm going to look at that one first. And this is really about letting go of the guilt, the shame that's maybe connected to it, but just that feeling that you don't have to overperform or really make up for things anymore. You can let go of that. The Tower is about all these, the foundation that is shaky foundation. If you've built your life on guilt and shame, that's not going to be a good foundation. It's time to let go of that. The Tower is falling apart, those feelings and emotions and parts in ourselves that are just not helping us. They are not creating the life that we want to. So the Tower is very important to let go of that. Go of that feeling, of course, by feeling through it. So if you feel like you have to, maybe a certain situation, you feel like, oh, I have to do this. Go deep inside yourself, feel through it. Where do you, in your body do you feel that? And just feel it without analyzing it. It's very important, so you keep the energy moving and start to heal the pain behind it. So the Tower is letting it fall apart, all the shame, guilt you may carry, maybe other things that are connected to this feeling that you have to make up for things or pay for certain things. And then you can finally leave this behind, because the World is the end. That's the last card of the major arcana. And the Fool is the first card. It's the beginning. It's like the new cycle. This is the ending of a cycle. And if you truly let go of the guilt, of shame, of this feeling that you have to make up for things, you have to do penance, that can be all kinds of ways, you can do that. If you manage to do that, you will open yourself up for something completely new. The old will be gone. The new will be opening up with the Fool card. And this is like a new cycle. And this is very important to understand, because if your life has been built on that, the foundations have been built on this guilt or this shame that you still carry with you, then of course, if it falls, if it falls to the side, your life will completely change. First of all, your energy and your frequency will of course become higher, because all those frequency, I believe that we have a very high frequency, but things like guilt, shame, other emotions, they drag us down. And it's of course what certain energies want. They want to keep us on a lower frequency. And if we don't follow along that and let go of those parts in ourselves, we automatically will have a higher frequency, higher vibration. And that is what's going to happen. And so your life will completely change, because those things will fall to the side. They will not be part of your life anymore. So situation will change. People could fall, could disappear or fall out of, behind, or they won't be in your life anymore, or they'll change the way they'll deal with you or how they'll treat you. So this is a very interesting time. So I have to say, I thought this was very interesting to do. I hope to see you in another video. Bye.